What's going on, guys? Today is the third episode of the Our Culture podcast, and today we have IVANA IVUSIC in town. She flew in, 2 days ago?
Yes.
So 2 days ago, and she's going to be here until the Chicago Pro. So her and Nick are both training under Matt's watchful eye, and that's our special guest for this episode. So IVANA, welcome.
Thank you guys for having me.
So one of the things that we wanted to talk about on this podcast was, I guess, the trials and tribulations that IVANA has gone through this year and what's made her, I guess you could say, I think personally, and I'm sure Matt will agree, her best look to date. So I'm going to let her kind of take it over and tell you guys what's been going on, how she feels now. And by the way, you look insane. And I don't think you're going to have any difficulties in Chicago.
Well, hi, everyone. My name is IVANA IVUSIC, and I am a Raw and Revive athlete. And it has been such a privilege to be able to come out here for these 9 days and really take my body to the next level and to be under a watch, like Dom said, with my coach. We have definitely gone through a lot. We've been together for about a year and a half. June. So a little over a year. And we've been through tons of stuff.
Yeah,
we have made some transformations. First and foremost, I've been saying this a lot and I want to say it again. I have to thank Matt for what he's done for me personally to allowing my body to reach its full potential by building up my metabolism. I have been through so many coaches and no coach had ever done this for me. And they had just completely burnt me out. So that's, I first and foremost want to kind of start there and kind of talk about that and then build into what we've created.
Yeah. So from my perspective, I think that's one of the biggest issues. And we want to focus on women within this podcast. One of the biggest issues that I see with these girls, it's like they rise to the top so fast and then you just stop hearing about them. And I think it's because they don't have off seasons where there's structure in place to really feed their bodies. You know, it's basically one form of another of some type of deficit or restriction of food, or the first time they feel any level of uncomfort within their body, they're restricting food back. So that was one of the biggest goals that I talked about with IVANA after the Olympia. And then something that really came to the forefront of what we were doing during COVID was I cannot burn you out. You know, we have to feed your metabolism. And then when there was so much uncertainty, whether shows were going to happen or not, I felt like I was at sometimes even coming, not against IVANA, but I kept having to remind her of look, this is long term. If we diet you all year, there's absolutely no way that you're going to be your best in December. So I also want to thank her, because if she didn't really fully buy in and trust me, we would have, kind of hit heads a little bit, because I really wanted to make sure through this period of uncertainty that I was feeding her up and that we weren't just continuing to restrict food and restrict calories and diet harder. So there's times, and this is the hard part about what we went through, is we didn't see her best physique, but at the same time, I knew it wasn't time, and now we're in a position where she's 9 days out of a show. She's the absolute best she's ever been. I mean, in terms of quantifiable numbers, 10 days out of the Olympia last year, she was 138 pounds. Right now, this morning, she was 129. And for a female, where inflammation markers and weight and fluid are so crucial, where she's at right now, without any type of water restriction, without any type of manipulation, without any type of diuretics, it's 10 times better than where she placed 6th in the world last year. So my confidence level about her is just through the roof right now.
Yeah. Oh. So definitely, especially with this show, there's been a lot of pressure. And like Matt said, to make career decisions for myself and for him to help me make those decisions is a really big deal. Because there's, like you said, there's a lot of uncertainty, and there's a lot as an athlete. Now let's just step away from coaching and all that, and let me speak on my behalf and how I truly felt was, I felt like I was going to fail myself. I'm like, okay, I wanted to win the New York Pro. This isn't going to happen.
That's a good point. So just really quick, after the Olympia last year, before we even left Las Vegas together, we set out to win New York and Pittsburgh. So that was our vision the whole time. And it was hard, because that was a huge goal for us that was basically pulled away from us. And I know a lot of you listening to this, whether you guys had goals of competing or whether goals through the spring, whatever they were, a lot of that was completely taken out of our control.
Yeah. Absolutely. And so, having brief conversations with Matt, I'm just like, oh yeah, I just say, yeah, sounds good, but, I had to sit there and honestly think about it. And it messed with my head for a little while, because then I saw all of these girls and they started competing. They were all in shape. They were getting ready. And we were like, hey, we're going to step back. And the plan was to make me even better. But how do you see that? How do you believe that? And it's only when you have somebody that you can really put your trust into. And being with the situation that Matt and I were with last year that was presented to us, it was just so ironic how we connected. And it was all through him coaching my husband and pretty much Matt being like, how's your wife doing? And at that time I wasn't doing well, and I wasn't doing well with my coach, and I was 24 hours out from the show. How do you handle that? And it's your husband's pro debut. I mean, and just, if I could go back, yes. If I could go back, my biggest advice to young athletes is pretty much, you know what, if you feel like something isn't right with who's helping you lead your career. I mean, you help lead my career right now.
Yeah.
You've helped me make these great decisions. And like, how ironic that all of a sudden now, here's more pressure. We're going into the Chicago Pro, the last qualifier of the year. There's some crazy talents going to be there.
Previous winner, you won it.
Yes.
Yeah, so there's a pressure of that.
It's just, it's all worked itself out. And like I said, again, it's a trusting process. And if you don't have full faith in your coach, like you're not going to be successful.
I think a lot of people this year can relate to that, like you said, through COVID, because I think people have been dieting. I know people personally have been dieting for, even Nadia was one of them. Remember when you first took Nadia over as an athlete? She was dieting since what?
November
of last year.
Yeah.
And I remember looking at her one day and I was like, yo, you gotta stop. Like, this can't be healthy. You can't stay like this long, because you're gonna destroy yourself. And then I think you had said the same thing to her, like, without me even knowing it. And then she realized that, because you could see her work performance was off, like everything was off, and it's like you can't hold that type of body fat and that type of mental cognition throughout that whole entire time.
Right. Yeah. So I think before we transition to anything else, like girls especially, any of you girls listening to this, like you guys have got to really take priority to feed your metabolism. It's crucial. Like you have to put your body through phases to do that. And if you can't do it yourself, if you don't trust yourself to do it, you have to find somebody to do that for you, because for girls' longevity in the sport, that really is why you see these girls rise and fall and rise and fall and rise and disappear. It's because their body is just no longer willing to go to that place that it once went. So that's really what this whole focus of this whole year has been about for me and IVANA, is not only making sure that she's at her best, but making sure that we're going through a process that's sustainable. That way she can continue to be her best for years and years and years. I mean, like, I know that she can win Olympia. I know that she can win multiple Olympias, but it's my job and my responsibility to keep her body responsive in order for that to happen. So that's really been the focus of this whole entire year for us. And like, IVANA talked about the pressure. We actually, we got her a book last week, and in what I wrote to her in that book was like, we have more pressure now than ever, but that's because we've earned the right to have that pressure, and that's it's a privilege. It's a privilege to be under pressure. It's a privilege to be going into this year's Chicago Pro as a previous winner and the front runner. And then beyond that, like we want to win the Olympia. Like that is our focus. That's our goal for the whole entire year.
It is. It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Yeah. Truthfully, and like, I know this is so funny, and I know they're going to agree, because I just talked to Sam and she told me that you guys talked about it, but like, I can't help but be happy. Like people, most of you guys see bodybuilders as miserable during maybe three months out, maybe 2 weeks out, whatever it is. You guys have this idea of us that we are unhappy, and that's not true. It's all by choice. And I say I'm much happier because my coach did such a fine job with building up my metabolism to where I'm eating more food now than I was before with other coaches at 3 months out. Hell yeah. Definitely.
I don't think many people realize how bubbly we are.
Yeah, this is the Energizer Bunny right here. Like seriously, she did her cardio this morning. She cooked her meal in 7 minutes. She ran out the door. There's no complaining. There was no, I have to eat my meal in silence. There's no, you guys leave me alone. Like, we had this podcast scheduled. We wanted to get this out to you guys because I think that IVANA has such a voice as an athlete that we want to be heard. And like, going back to the first episode that we did, this is what this podcast is all about, is just really sharing with you guys like what we're all about, what she's all about, what her voice is, what her desires are, what her goals are in the sport, outside of the sport. And one of the things that I think really makes her so successful is she's so appreciative, and she goes through this whole process being so happy. And not to say that she doesn't have hard days, and not to say that she's not tired, but at the same time, like, she appreciates the fact that she's a professional and she gets to do what she wants to do every day. And it's not like, you know, everybody watch out. You know, I'm going for the show in 9 days. You guys get out of my way. I'm going to be in a bad mood. You guys deal with it. You know, there's no walking on eggshells with her. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, you guys, but truthfully, like, I've had this, like, this surge of just, like this amazing feeling in my stomach where it's like, wow, I gotta take advantage of this moment. Because, you know, sometimes some people are very privileged and they get to experience whatever. But right now I get to experience being a real professional athlete, having 9-10 days out, 2 weeks off from work, from everything, allowing, you know, Dom, you guys allow me to be in your home and just laying out reading a book. I mean, God, like, you know, but I worked for that. And now that I get to do that, you know, and I was reading that book yesterday, it was actually talking about, like, why are you apologizing? Why do you feel guilty for where you are in your life? This is what you want to do. This is a situation you should be in.
Yeah.
Because, and I was so raised that you should be working all the time. It's like, life should be miserable. You should be work. You should get up at 6 a.m. every day and you should be controlled by someone all day long. And that's the kind of environment I grew up because my parents just knew how to work hard. They didn't know how to almost work smart. That's the truth. And that's something that my husband and I took a lot of risks. We just left with no job, nothing, to see if we can pursue a better future. And it was all by, you know, because this is now involving ourselves around people who are supporting us and
go into that a little bit. What we were talking about yesterday about you. So basically, the struggle with leaving your family. You guys chose to go out to Colorado. Why did you guys choose to go out to Colorado? How hard was that at the beginning for you? You know, like, go into that.
Jeez, it was really hard. We moved 8 weeks out before the Olympia.
Where'd you move from?
From Iowa. Okay. Yep, from Iowa. We literally moved within like 5 days. Yep.
So you guys went out to visit, right?
Yep.
And then just decided, like, we're moving here.
You went and visited?
Like, just the gym. Okay. Just the gym. Didn't know any of the cities. They had no idea where we were going to be living. And I just found this place. We grabbed a U-Haul, pulled our Jeep, and I followed with the other car and drove up to our place. And from there, our life changed dramatically. We've established ourselves. I mean, we knew nobody. We were nobody at the gym. And now, you know, who knows, maybe one day we'll own some of our best.
Yeah.
But I mean, we just built ourselves up there. But aside from that, it was so hard for me to leave my family. It was so hard. You know, and for some people may not understand that because they might not have the relationships that others have with their families. But I do. And and my parents are so dependent on me that, you know, it left me hopeless. It left me like, how can I be there? But I can't be there. But how do I fight for my own life so that I can give them everything to help them out?
Sure.
How do I do that? I can't be there with you guys every day and give you this life. So we had to pick and choose.
It's a tough decision.
And so at first, my mom was not supportive at all. And you guys, that's devastating. 8 weeks out, you're in this new place. You know nobody, know nothing. It's chaos. And now they are like, this is the best decision you've ever made for yourself, and we're so proud of you. So, but aside with that, you know, having Brett as my husband to support us, to support me and support our marriage, and just to believe in what we're doing.
Yeah.
Because, you know, he did have a great job working at Wells Fargo, and he was making a lot of money.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm going to marry him. This is great. We're getting married in a month. Like this, you just stay here at this job. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
You know, and then he was like, hey, I'm unhappy.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, he was doing so freaking well. He's like, I'm so unhappy. Like, what do you want to do? I'm like, don't tell me you want to be a bodybuilder. Because I'm a bodybuilder. You know, no. And you know what? It worked out, and he's more successful now than ever, and he's doing such a fine job with everything. But it wouldn't have happened if we didn't believe in each other. And you have those group of people on the side that kind of help you lift you up.
Sure.
But and then you drop off from those people, and you meet, and you keep building up until you build up this team. And it takes time, you guys. We've been doing this for 7-8 years, and we finally can say, hey, we are with the people that we want to be with.
Sure.
So that's been wonderful.
Yeah. I think Ivana's just, I mean, honestly, in terms of just success in general, like, she's just dropped so many things. Like, she left everything she knew to chase a goal. Not only that, you know, like, I wish Brett was in this room with us right now, because there's so much that you guys could be learning from him, and we'll have him on here at some point. But what I think is so good about Brett is he doesn't let anybody distract his focus. And if for Ivana, who has the same focus, if you're in that environment 24/7, you have that support system 24/7, I mean, you have no choice but to succeed. And that's how Brett lives his life. I mean, even in certain situations, in terms of drama, in terms of, you know, like, bickering, like, it doesn't even exist. Like, Brett doesn't even entertain it, you know, and that's something I respect so much about him. there was a little instance that came up this past week with one of our athletes, and the athlete came to me and said, "Do you think Brett even knows about this?" And I said, "Honestly, man," I said, "the way that I know Brett," I said, it doesn't even enter his world, because he's so focused on supporting his wife, supporting himself, his own bodybuilding goals. And that is why I think IVANA and Brett are in the position that they are right now, because they've steadfast just chased what they want to chase. They've gotten rid of any baggage. They've gotten rid of any toxicity within the, in around them. They went to a support system in Armburst Gym that just basically lifts them up. And then, on our side, we want to do the same thing from a support system, from a coaching. And it's a little difficult for me because, I had a conversation with Dom last week. Within our relationship, I have to wear multiple hats because I'm their friend, I'm their coach. I'm also kind of their boss, even though I don't want it to be viewed in that role. But we want to ultimately, like with IVANA and with IVANA signing with Raw, we wanted IVANA to basically get back to the point within her social media, with everything that she did, where she was a representation of her brand. And then within her brand, just kind of infiltrating and filling in the gaps with our brand. And I think that's the biggest difference with the vision that Dom and I have, is we don't want our athletes to sign with us to push our brand. We want our athletes to build up their own brand and then just filter our brand into what they're doing.
That's very well said. Gosh, you guys don't understand the difference in my mental health since this has happened in my life, since I've gone back to, where I can now go back to myself. And it's allowed me to even speak out more, and it's allowed me not to be like I was saying today, like my ultimate goal in my life is to be a motivational speaker for women. I would love that. I would love to have little seminars where I get to talk to women, help them kind of really break themselves down. And it's so hard to focus on your other goals and things like that when you have so much pressure from a sponsor.
I mean, I think that
it's very difficult.
I mean, I think that, Matt, you said it really well when it comes to the way that we market ourselves. I think we choose people who have a following based off of loyalty and based off of just quality, and we want them to push our brand organically. And in the best sense I can say, it's like when you tell someone your brand's the best, or when someone else tells someone your brand's the best, listen to the other person, obviously, because there's not that type of hidden, I guess, agenda behind it. And I think that when, especially with your Instagram and with all of our followers' Instagram, or our athletes' Instagrams, if you look at them, you don't see a ton of Revive stuff. It's the best person I could say is for Chris Bumstead. Like the way that he markets Revive is fantastic. And he'll have a picture cooking, talk about his digestion, and there'll be a Revive bottle in the background, and he'll just talk about why he likes it, what it does for him. But there's not an ad on his page, or holding a ton of, that's just
bottles.
It's very organic, and it's education.
There's not an ad every other day.
No. I mean, it's definitely different, and I think it's worked really well for us. I think we could have grown much faster if we did things a little bit differently, but I think we have almost a 60% retention rate and returning customer rate because of the way that we market and the way that we educate our following. So it might take a little bit longer to grow the business, and I'm totally fine with that, because the way we're doing it, to me, is more important.
Yeah, for sure. And that was when we had a conversation with both Brett and IVANA, we talked to them one night before we brought them on to Raw, and I think the thing that, speaking on their behalf, that they felt so comfortable with is we were like, guys, let's get back to you, let's get back to posting about you. They both have such incredible physiques. They train so hard, and not only that, but they have a real marriage, and we wanted that stuff to be displayed, because I think if people get to see the realness of you, and if you portray real life on your social media, the sales are going to come, so it wasn't so much to us about getting athletes to drive sales. It was about getting people that we believe in, that we can support, that we can have into town, that we can enjoy being with, that we don't dread seeing. And again, going back to that first podcast, we want this to be so much bigger than our brand. And it's about having people that we believe in, having people that we can support, having people that believe in us and support us, and then just growing exponentially from there.
I can actually give a real testament to this, because 2 days ago Ryan hit me up.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
And Ryan Blakely is one of our athletes. He's one of my good friends. I've known Ryan for 10 years, and I love Ryan. He's just a good dude. And he hit me up, and he's like, dude, I can't do this shit anymore. And I was like, what happened? I was super concerned about it. And then I got on the phone with him, and he's like, listen, man, he's like, And his content, if you guys follow him on Instagram, is sick. Like, he's very into like military, guns, fitness, coaching. So it's like everything he does is meticulously perfect, and it's almost to a fault because he does such good work with his videos and everything that we're like, Ryan, we want more content, and we always hound him for more content. And he basically was saying, he's like, dude, he's like, since I started, you know, because he's with Raw and Revive as well, and he was like, since I started posting as much as I'm like supposed to post, you know, my engagement turned to shit. And I was like, well, what do you mean? He's like, well, I used to get 1,100 likes on a picture or whatever it was, and now I get like 300 or 400. And I said, well, stop immediately. I said, listen, I said, get your page, bring it back to what it was, make it perfect, make it how you want to do it, and organically put the stuff in. Nothing's going to change on our end for your contract. You're going to get the same amount of stuff. I want it to go back to how it was, because that's why I brought you on. I brought you on for what you were, not for what we're destroying. And he like was like, really? And I was like, yeah, like that's what we want to do. You know, like I have no intention of making your page get less traffic because of our ads, because in turn it's going to hurt us too. And he like, I remember literally on the phone, he's like, dude, he's like, I wish I had this conversation recorded, because like I would love to just put it on my Instagram to show people like how cool you are and how nice you handle the situation. I was like, no, man, it's the right thing to do. That's what we want to do. And that's what we did with you. You know, when we first brought you on board, we're like, for 2 months, don't post anything. We're still going to pay you. We don't want anyone to know you're with us. We don't want, because
we still haven't even released it.
I know. Well, I mean, because honestly,
you can't still buy the IVANA shirt.
Yeah, of course, and it's simply because, like, you know, I hate it when I see people, like when we look for athletes, the one thing that we look for is people who don't jump ship all the time, right? And granted, all the time it's not the athlete's fault. There's issues that happen behind the scenes that cause people to leave different contracts, but in this case, it was like, I don't want you to go from this company straight to our company and start posting about Raw, because then not only does it makes our integrity look bad. Like, oh, we just want her because of her following. Like, we want her because of what she believes in. So for 2 months, you know, because we obviously don't want to make you financially uncomfortable coming from a good contract to nothing. So we paid you the whole time, and we want to make sure that you're comfortable. And then, you know, when the time is right, we'll reintroduce it after you use the products, after you like the products, and then from there we build.
Gosh, yeah. I can't stress enough the importance of being comfortable. Like, you know, you said it, because I was going to say something like that before, is I know that I could call you, Matt or Dom, and be like, hey guys, like, here's what's going on. I need your help. And yeah. I've heard so many stories between you two of what you guys do for all the athletes. And I'm just privileged to be a part of it. And honestly, that I don't know many other companies that offer that do that. So we're just already a few steps ahead.
Well, I think me and Matt are both super blessed, because both of our income streams don't come from Revive.
Yep.
You know, Matt has a super successful coaching company. I do the medical stuff. So like, this business is more of a passion than it is a paycheck, and it's the truth. So we're able to invest heavily, you know, all of the profit of the company into the company, and let it grow to the point where we feel it's right. And then once that point happens, then, you know, we can start making a living from it. But, you know, as of right now, our main focus is, you know, just continuously bringing like the best products, you know, the best athletes that we can, and just doing the most for our athletes, you know, and I think you've seen that since you started with us. That's what we care about.
Yeah, you want to jump into the prep?
Yeah.
A little bit? Mm-hmm. All right, so we asked Nick a question, and I want to put, IVANA doesn't know this, I want to put her on the spot.
Oh, great.
I want to know what your goal is. Just, I think it's big to like speak your vision into existence and then really believe it. So, goal obviously for Chicago, I believe we know that, and then I want to know your goal for the Olympia.
To win the Olympia.
Fuck yeah, say Nancy.
To win the Olympia.
This year.
To win the Olympia this year. Yeah, and I know that I can do it. Yes. I definitely do.
And we can watch this podcast after you do it.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Is to win, to bring something that they haven't seen, and really to just continue to be me, no matter what. Like, I don't care. I don't change at all. No matter what it is, a win, not a win, it doesn't matter. To me, I just know that I know what I'm capable of, and I know what I believe. And this burning sensation that I have in my gut, I've never felt before. And that tells me that I've been doing something right, and that I've been paying all my dues to the people around me, the people that I encounter, my daily work, my everything around me. So, it's going to be a really big moment.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So from my perspective, you know, like that's why she's here right now, because I, as a coach, I feel so confident if I can kind of visually see the athletes in the last week and a half. So not only did I want to do that, because like, again, this year's crazy, you know, so we have to win this show. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. We have to win this show. And then our focus is going to be on the Olympia. And what our biggest focus on IVANA's physique has been for the past, almost over a year now, because the Olympia was over a year ago, has been her conditioning, her upper body's been great. Her conditioning in her quads has been great. She's lacked a little bit of conditioning from the backside. And as I gave you guys those numbers initially,
Not anymore.
yeah, she was 138 going into the Olympia last year, and she stepped on stage about 129 in the last week. Well, she's already at that condition on stage without manipulating anything, and that was the biggest focus of the year. The two focuses that I had was to not burn her out, which we talked about in terms of feeding her up. To keep her responsive long term, because if not, we were going to be dieting all year. And the other thing was to really fix the condition from the backside, not only from the backside, but then also keep her strength in her back strong. So that's what we're trying to really navigate this last week. And I want to bring, and I told her husband this a few days ago. I told Brett this. I said, I want to bring an Olympia winning package to Chicago. I think if we make that type of statement in Chicago, then in my opinion, she's going to be one of the front runners for the Olympia. So that's been our goal. That's been our vision. That's why she's here. Because another thing too, you can't have Olympia winning success without a close-knit group. You have to be close. Like, you don't win championships, you don't win world titles without being close. So it's important to me that I grow relationally with her. It's important to me that, we have coffee in the morning and, all those things,
guys,
so
you're making me coffee.
Yeah. So
I wake up to it.
yeah, you wake up to us talking and you're like, why are they awake?
So that's why she's here. I'm just navigating things on a daily basis. I think another thing that I'm doing too with her is just like working to build her mental confidence right now. And then also being a governor for her. That was, something else I could talk about really quick was yesterday, like, she had no gas in the tank for training. And then rather than just beating a dead horse, we just pulled back. We pulled back off of cardio last night. We pulled back in training yesterday. I just continued to give her positive encouragement during the training session, because honestly, that was probably the worst training session you've had all year, I would imagine, right? But it wasn't that there was a lack of effort. It was just that there was nothing there to give, So in those situations, that's when it's my job to pull the reins back in. And then honestly, it's been positive because she hit her lowest weight of the whole prep this morning. So
Great call by you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And that's why she's here, because I can't. If IVANA had been in Colorado right now and she trained yesterday, she probably would have tried to overly push through that workout. And then she might have conveyed it to me like, hey, it would have been a bad workout. But without visually seeing like how bad it was, I might not have made that judgment call, or the timeline wouldn't have lined up to be like, hey, no cardio, because she would have just gone immediately from training into cardio. And then that can kind of create a downward spiral right there, because everything right now is so crucial in terms of making the right judgment calls and doing the right thing to make sure that we land this right.
I'm so excited.
I think like a really big takeaway from this whole entire podcast is like your environment will really define you as a person. And I mean in this exact instance, like they're talking right now, and I can get into something a little bit before I have to jump off this, but you guys can continue. I had a horrible childhood, and me and my dad, like, we never really got along when I was younger. It's kind of crazy. I've never talked about this before, and Dad, I love you now, so you just deal with it. When I was younger, my mom was the person in our family that worked. She was the person who had the corporate job and was never home. And me and my dad just like always butted heads. We never got along. We would always fight. We'd always argue. And then when I was in high school, it got like really bad. Like it was to the point where it was a super negative environment. I never wanted to even be home really, because my mom was never home. So I was like, fuck this. I'll just sleep at a friend's house, or I'll do something else. And it caused me to like not do good in school. It caused me to just not really give a fuck anymore. And I was literally at the point where my mom was like, you got to get out of here. Like, you need to move. You need to do your own thing. And I moved to Orlando when I went to UCF. And as soon as I moved there, at that exact moment, I made a promise to myself that I would never be around people that negatively impacted like my like vibe. Like if I felt it was off, or if I felt like you weren't there to support me in any way, like I didn't fuck with you. And I'm that way to this day. Like if I feel like there's negative energy, or if someone, it's not the people who I don't know, right? Because people who don't know you are always going to talk shit about you. They're always going to say things poorly about you, but it's the people who are closest to you. So the people who are closest to you, if they have that type of like negative energy, you need to just fucking get rid of them. And it's true. Like there's no better thing I could give as advice to anybody in the world than to get rid of them. And in this specific case, I hate to say it, but it was my dad at that point in my life, and I got away from it. And when I went to Orlando, like I said, I promised myself I would never do it again, and I fucking just thrived. Like, I feed off of positivity, I feed off of positive energy, and negative energy absolutely kills me. Like, even if me and my wife will get into an argument and there's like that negative tension, like I can't think about anything else except fixing it, or I can't do shit. Like I'm miserable, and it bleeds into my work, it bleeds into everything that I do. So, you know, obviously years later, me and my dad have a great relationship now. He's like a brother to me, and, you know, obviously he's a fatherly figure as well, and I respect him. But there was a point in time where, I mean, I can almost thank him for it, because he taught me in a way, you know, that I don't need to put up with shit like that. And by not putting up with shit like that, I think it's truly why I am where I am today. So the number one takeaway for me out of any of this, and I think that you'll all agree, is like, it's the people who surround you, it's the environment you're in that will help you or fucking kill you. And you need to choose those people really wisely.
You couldn't have said it any better. And yeah, right now is the perfect time to get rid of those fucking people.
Yeah, I mean, like, literally, just do it. It's not an easy time. There's never an easy way. It's like, you either got to cut it or, you know, keep bleeding.
And I can guarantee you, as soon as you do, just try it with one person. All of a sudden, there's more positive things.
It's literally like imagine like a fucking like a cloud, right? Like literally being like over you, and it's just pouring on. Oh shit! And it's just like pouring on you, and then the minute you cut it, it's like this like whole like it's just like an aura. Everyone happy. You'll see the people around you, like they don't even realize they're being affected by it, because they're not as in tune as you are. But then they start getting happier, and then you're like, holy shit! Like this affected everybody. And it's there's nothing better. There's not a better feeling in the world than that.
Also, you can breathe better.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't realize I was carrying that so deep in my chest. And you're just constantly thinking about it.
And guys, it happens. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not the best judge of character. I pretty much give everybody anything. So, you know, my wife is the one who will come in and be like, yo, don't fuck with that kid. Or that kid's bad news. Or I don't trust that person. But for me, like, I like to give everybody the benefit of the doubt. And I'm usually the one who gets fucked over the most. But I don't care. That's just how I am. But, you know, she's right every time. She's like, you know.
Once is enough.
Yeah, one and done. That's how I am. There's no second chances anymore. Like, I've been through it all, and I have no desire to fuck around with fake people.
That's fair. One chance, and at least you're giving them a chance.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And guys, I mean, I know you've heard it before, but it's so true. Like, in order to be your best, you're gonna have to leave, and you're gonna have to outgrow people.
Yeah.
And it's hard, because I think sometimes when that happens, we're perceived as the jerks, or we're perceived as being selfish. But like, ultimately, that's a part of the process in order to be your best. You know, that was something that Kobe Bryant was like huge on. Like, he was considered an asshole for a majority of his career, and the reason why is because he left everybody that ever was going to hold him back. You know, even a situation with his parents. But yet he did what he had to do in order to be his best. And if you look at anybody with a championship pedigree, whatever they're doing, business, cooking, whatever it is, they all do that. You know, like, you can't continue to hang out with your boys from high school you can't. Like, I mean, Dom and I had this conversation.
Well, if they want what's best for you, they're gonna bite the bullet and get uncomfortable with you
and level up.
And I've had that happen. I've had friends, like, I mean, some of the dudes that work for me, they started from nothing, and they realized, like, real quick, like, either I got to get my shit together or I'm not going to be able to ride this fucking bus. And they got on the bus, and then some got off the bus, and some never made it. But it is what it is. And, you know, I don't look back and regret any of that, because I don't burn bridges. Like, all those people I'll still talk to, and I still get respected by, but they get it, you know. And at the moment, nobody gets it, right? When they're just salty because they feel like, well, what the fuck? Or, you know, why are you doing this? Or, you know, you should stay here with us. Or, you know, you don't, like...
You're too good for me.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I come from a small town. Like, you guys are here right now. This town is super fucking small, you know? So when I left this town, and I did a lot with my life, and I came back, it's like... You know, some of the same people that are still here doing the same shit. And it's like, you know, I thank God that I left and I came back, and I was able to experience that, because I feel like sometimes it's like, when I left, everyone's like, oh my God, you're leaving, you know, you're leaving the most perfect town. It's like, yo, I need to experience life. Like, I need to experience, like, more difficult things. But you're absolutely right, man. It's difficult. And
if you're not feeling uncomfortable, then you're not doing something right. You should be uncomfortable. You should make yourself uncomfortable.
Yeah, if the people around you should want
to
the people around you should want to level up, and truthfully, the people that you're around should almost be in a better position than you are too. You should always want to be like, I know it's a stupid fucking saying, but like you don't want to be the biggest fish.
But it's so true.
Yeah,
It's
you
so true.
don't want to be the biggest fish in like the smallest pond. You want to be the smallest fish in the biggest pond because you want to be around people who are better. I've always said that. I always want to be around people who are more successful, more driven, because it just causes you to level up. And I'm not the type of person who can sit around a bunch of great people and not do anything. Like Meek Mill said some shit on his Instagram the other day, and it's like, if you're surrounded by 20 millionaires and you're not, the 21st, like there's something wrong with you. It's not them. All those people have the relationships, the networking, and the assets to make you a great person. You just got to fucking do it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Damn. So well said.
Yeah.
Keep going.
That's it. That's all I got. I'm done.
Ow.
That was good. Yeah, very true.
You got anything else?
Pretty much, right now we're at 9 days out.
Yeah.
I woke up this morning feeling really happy, been sleeping well. That's been really important. I feel like sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night because I'm so excited.
Yeah.
I can't, and this is what I'm being serious with you guys. I'm like a kid, but I am so happy. I just think because we had to make like I said, had to make so many hard decisions, but like all those decisions that we made were the right ones.
Yeah, they've led to where you're at.
But they've only led to that because of having a plan and following. I wouldn't look the way I look today if we had competed at the New York Pro.
Right.
I think you're at the level now too where like you don't need to compete except like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you got it's chess. It's a game of chess. Like you have to play smart or else you're going to burn yourself out, you know, and that's what we're doing.
You see it in younger athletes all the time who, I've seen it at least, like it's a race to get on the stage, right? And they almost diminish themselves more and more because they're not giving themselves the time to grow and mature. So it's like they can't gain the muscle that they need because every year they're just dieting up and then dieting down and dieting up and they're not doing it properly.
Right.
So, you're in the position now where you can almost pick any show you want to do, and you deserve it. And you pick it, you win it, and you go to the Olympia. That's just what you do. But these younger kids, I think, it's a testament to everyone who's like, getting into the bodybuilding scene or classic physique scene. Like, you can't compare yourselves to like, Chris Bumsteads and the Ivanas because of the fact that like they're not competing to qualify and they're not doing 7, 8, 9, 10 shows a year. And you guys doing that are almost, it could possibly hurt you long term. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Definitely, I definitely would speak out to like even the bikini girls. It's like you guys, some of them do like 20 shows a year when they could have just worked their friggin' ass off and done one show and won that show, then been the best and gone to Olympia, been even better.
It's not about how many second place trophies you have.
Instead, they look freaking exhausted.
It's not a trophy collection. Those trophies aren't worth. They're $2 trophies, and they don't do shit for you unless it's the first place one.
No. Absolutely. So, but yeah, we're just gonna keep
training back today. You guys are gonna get to see kind of a vlog of her whole time here as she leads up to Chicago. So be on the outlook for that. This is episode 3. Really quick, just last thing I want to say is I want to thank you guys for all the support. We've only released one episode, but Dom and I are blown away by just the how much appreciation you guys have shown us for just the first episode. So thank you for that. Please, we also want to be hearing from you guys in terms of what you guys want to see in here, specific guests you want to see, topics you want to talk about. So please reach out to us, message us, Instagram us about that as well. And again, this is episode 3, Our Culture Podcast. We will be back next week with episode 4.
See you guys later.